Don't you ever! Yeah, so that can happen. But no, generally no. I'm generally happy-go-lucky and quite happy.
And does a mean version of Michael Jackson songs at karaoke?
Yes, I do.
Yes, he does.
Does anyone else have a question for the panel? How about any of your internet people? Jordan?
They're saying they're getting on there right now. I just sent a message through Skype to Kenny.
Oh, good. Thank goodness Kenny's going to be
Kenny.
Any boys, don't mess with Kenny.
Yes, sir.
Do any of you break out your voices at random times, like at the McDonald's drive-thru, just for kicks?
I'll share my story. Thank you. My favorite moment of doing that was at a carnival in the lovely Meadowlands, New Jersey. They have a big carnival every year. And I went with a family, and one of the prizes they were giving away at some of the arcade games was a big plush Sonic figure. And someone was lucky enough to win that and happened to be walking by as my family and I were enjoying refreshing beverages. And I just sat there enjoying my little slushie and looked over and said, "Look, it's Sonic!" And the kid's head just whipped around. It wasn't me, I was just standing there.
Lisa, do you have any Amy story?
You can't top that.
Oh my God. See, hello, he's evil. No, I have not whipped out Amy at many points. So there has been a time after I was in the studio for a long
I also apologize. I don't have a good internet connection, so that's why we disconnected earlier.
As I was looking out of the way, because you start to know the sound effects from your like, oh, yeah. So someone came and brushed by me, and I was like, oh! And I'm like, wow, there is no need for that to be out loud. Well, I think we'll get to a nice seat on the subway.
Mr. Griffith?
No, not Sonic, but
No one can hear you unless you put the microphone on.
Sonic. Well, I use this voice a lot. I like to call people I know and say hello. My name is Freddie James, and actually I have a friend who's a photographer, and I called his studio and used that voice and said, your photographer made my son look like a potato. And the woman that answered the phone totally bought it, and I felt really bad because she was feeling really bad, and I kept going on, and then she was like, oh my God, that was amazing! So, that's sort of Sonic in 50 years.
He's not very fast by that point. Yes.
My outgoing voicemail is something akin to, Jason's not here right now, but if you leave a message, he'll get back to you.
Got it.
And they fall asleep.
Never gets back to you.
If you guys want to hear that, Jason's phone number is 555. Yes, young lady.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're very welcome.
My husband and I were thinking, what would be a scene of the four of you in a car going, ordering through drive-thru in your voices of your characters?
Is this that moment from Pulp Fiction?
Can you give me a
Sorry about that, Kenny.
No, I just want to dress you. No, I'm seeing myself on the phone and just have a look at my figure.
It's mostly the
I'll take
internet.
an Big Muffin.
In the future, we don't have fast food. We just eat pills.
Fast food's always slow food to me.
Oh, Sonic.
Amy! After 8 years, all he did is get to the bathroom fast.
What the?
Who let Eggman in the car?
He said he was bringing eggs.
He smells like eggs.
Oh my God.
I think that would be it.
Woo!
Did you do this thing? Who else has a question?
Is this what your talk shows are like?
No. They're much more so just hit. Yeah, sure.
Sorry,
You
guys.
can do whatever you want.
I know the stream is slow.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I guess there's another question directed toward Mike. Since we missed your panel yesterday, how did you get started in the business?
I started loving radio, which is where that got me. And I'd always wanted to be on the radio listening to disc jockeys and saying, hey, I can do that. And so eventually in college, I started part-time at a radio station and realized that what was the most fun for me was doing the commercials, working in the production department.
I really apologize for the camera shake, too.
Wacky voices. And then I eventually moved from radio to a radio syndication outfit where I was doing less production and more just wacky voices. And one day I had gotten enough of the demo tape together where I was able to send it out, and there was a classified ad for some cartoon. It didn't really specify, but it was in Backstage magazine, and sent in my demo, and it turned out to be an episode of Pokemon, which I got a little guest shot on, and that turned into more stuff at 4Kids when 4Kids TV started blossoming, and they got me in the talent pool for that, and then they booked me on all the other various cartoons and stuff.
When you're owned like Mike and I, radio is always the start.
Mm-hmm. But now it's crap.
I used to prank call the local college radio station where I grew up in Cleveland as a.
There's several different characters, but the most memorable being a rapper named $50 Bill. $50 Bill would always call up and be real smooth, real smooth. But the funny thing is they'd always let me on the air. They'd always let me on the air. And I also used to call up as, the first voice I ever did was,
He's a 5-year-old boy named Yucky. Yucky protect me. And Yucky's very, very cute.
So, yes, he would also make cameo appearances on the radio station.
I did the same thing that Mike did at his radio station, at my college radio station. WFUR 107.5 Cable FM and Campus TV Channel 11. And I did all the airdrops for them, and we tried to change up the commercials all the time, do voices. And my DJ name, when I first got to college, was so terrible, because I was a huge cartoon fan. So I named it after Marvin the Martian, and I was Marvin Goodnight. And it's very embarrassing to say that. How about you, Lisa?
I actually never went through the radio route, despite being in the same thing. I came out of doing theater, and then I jumped in and started doing animation over there. So I kind of feel like I've been tipped at radio.
We'll get you an air shift and you can see how that is.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Any more questions?
Awkward silence.
I know.
Who's from the furthest away here? Who came from
Miami.
Oh, really?
It's really
Ohio.
Jordan has you beat here. Jordan's from Ohio.
All the way from Central Ohio.
Chicago. Chicago's even further.
Los Angeles.
New York.
We went there for a BotCon convention last year. We went to Paramount Pictures.
Paramount Studios.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool
Yeah.
place.
Yes, sir.
I guess another question, since we got the four of you up here, each one of you can answer the difficulties in dubbing. In other words, which one you prefer, either dubbing or actually voicing, and then the animation getting done afterwards. I mean, what are the hurdles in either one, I guess?
Lisa, why don't you start? I'm going to be a professional moderator.
Well, it's interesting because the stuff that I've done that's been voicing stuff before, like pre-lay animation, it really depends on how much time you have to really sit with the script. Some of them I've been able to sit with the script and kind of come in, and then you have a sense of what's going on. And sometimes you don't. It depends on your director, and you're kind of relying heavily on them to know what's happening. And if you've seen some of the animation, if you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. I did this fairy animation called Meadowland a while ago, and it was really great, except all the scenes that we had, we'd be rolling down a river and doing all this stuff, and we'd falling off a cliff and doing all these things, and I had no idea what was going on at some point. I'm like, okay, like you're kind of thinking it. It's fun. What has been fun is when I have done relay stuff with other people in the room. Like, usually I've never done it with more than 4. I did that show, and I did a show for skype.com a little while ago called Barbarian Moron, which was kind of fun. That we were all in. It's It's on the net somewhere. I did that in another show called Moon Planet, but there was like 4 of us inside. It was about this post-apocalyptic thing, where this one guy is this barbarian moron. It's sort of very much like in the tech category, but with him being like a moron. I would say an android who was this big, huge superhero who talked like this and shot laser beams out of inappropriate areas. And, so it was, and I got to play a little midget guy in there, too, like a little violent little guy. But that stuff is always really fun because you can kind of do the reads the way that you want to, but like, people have said sometimes when you go back, you see things are animated differently than you would have visualized them. But it's kind of fun to be able to do the pacing and everything yourself. But I also like ADR because you can kind of look at the image, and that's much more trying to fit yourself into their emotions and what they're feeling at the time, depending on the show. So I kind of like them both.
Mr. Pollock?
I would agree with Lisa. I would stand on Lisa. Yes, that's true. The freedom of prelay, where you have no time constraints within reason.
Yes.
I would like to deliver my line in 5 minutes. You don't have quite that much leeway, but you have the ability to control the pacing yourself, as opposed to with ADR, where you have specific lip flaps that you have to match, and then when you suddenly start deviating and you're not talking with the lips, then it's a problem. But the magic of the electronic digital age is that they can fix everything in post and make it sound like you did that a lot better than you thought you did.
Jason? Yes. I think that pretty much covered it. One thing I'll say, and I agree with Lisa on this point, that I really like doing prelay. Prelay is a lot more fun when you're doing it with a group of people. And I'm doing a series right now. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it, but we sometimes record as a group in the studio, and that's a lot of fun because you get to play off the other people more so than if you are just listening to what was recorded before you came in and responding to that, because you can kind of look at the other person and just it's a whole different energy, you know. So I dropped my fortune cookie. Sorry.
Oh my God!
These are being sold outside, by the way. If you want a fortune cookie, they're not like $1.
I believe the
Hey,
first
Kenny.
is very clumsy today.
I can't answer you.
I agree with all of that. I just had I had lots of fun doing having the freedom to make
I have my
silver
computer muted,
sound.
so I can't hear you.
I think I said this in my panel, but some people weren't there. I like being able to make
Okay.
silver sound how I
Thanks,
wanted
Kenny.
it to sound because he was a brand new character, and so I had nothing to base it off of aside from what I wanted to do. So that was a lot of fun. But
If anybody
like Lisa said,
listening has
you know,
a quick
it's
question,
funny to
just type it.
they can only describe what you're doing so much. So if it's like, you know, okay, he got hit. Now he got hit
All
harder.
of them.
Now he got hit really hard, but it's like in an awkward position. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? So you don't really know exactly
It's
what they're doing, but you have
Sonic X
to
panel.
interpret it yourself. And that's fun. I've also another unique situation. Yesterday I was here, and remember?
Remember what?
No. Well, I had to record a commercial here, and it was through an ISDN patch, which means you're in the studio here, but the studio in New York can hear everything you're doing, and they get the audio. And they showed me the picture before I went into the booth to what I'd be like talking over. So I sort of had to keep that image, and they weren't able to play it when I went into the booth to record, so I sort of had to keep that image in my mind, you know, the whole time. That can be sort of tricky because you can kind of remember wrong after, you know, 17, 18 takes. So that's a totally different situation.
Took you 17 or 18 days?
Yes.
You're not very good.
Well, that's the difference between, I think, well, a lot of animation and commercials is, you know, commercials, it'll be a much shorter script. Like, here's a cartoon script.
Hey guys, I gotta record in shifts because
and
this
they
is
want to
gonna
do
be
this one
uploaded straight to
140
YouTube.
times, where
I gotta
this one
stop
you can
and
get away with
record again.
3 takes.